What's up guys, C-Twan13 here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Autel MaxiCheck Pro system. Alright guys, so if you've been watching my channel for any extended period of time, you'll know that in the past I did make a video about an Autel scan tool, the AL519. And although it wasn't my best video, a lot of you guys did like that video. And so when Autel contacted me and said, hey, would you like to check out our brand new MaxiCheck Pro system, I had to take them up on their offer. Now, when we're talking about DIYers, at home, wrenchers, that sort of thing, the average gearhead, you're not necessarily going to want to have to take your car to the mechanic or to a technician or at the dealer, God forbid, to have simple things done like engine lights turned off and, reprogramming, oil light reminders and that sort of thing. And even when you're doing your own brake work, sometimes if there's air in the system and it gets to the ABS module, trying to get that out of there is a nightmare without a dealer level scan tool. Well, this MaxiCheck Pro system aims to solve a lot of those problems because it's capable of reading standard trouble codes, SRS airbag codes, transmission codes, ABS codes, as well as enabling auto bleed mode on a lot of different vehicles. Now, obviously it's going to vary and we're going to get into that, but most modern cars will work with this system in terms of communicating to the ABS module, but all of them will be able to work with every other feature. And again, given that this thing is coming in at around $200, that is an incredible value. Let's go ahead and see what's in the box. So again, this kit comes with a carrying case as well. So we're going to go ahead and see what's in here. Yes, so again, I will leave the link in the description because the title of this product is a little bit long, but the full title is Autel MaxiCheck Pro OBD2 Scanner Automotive Diagnostic Scan Tool with ABS Auto Bleed, SRS Airbag, Oil Reset, SAS, EP8, etc. So it cuts off there, but we'll go ahead and open this up. I will link this in the description as well so that you guys can see this. Alright, so there's the box, and again, this is, I don't want to be one of those wow, feels nice in the hand kind of guys, but I mean, it's substantial. You can see there's no flex in the case. The hinge does look reinforced. So, I really can't complain so far. Already, you've got a very strong carrying case. That's one of my criticisms of most scan tools is it's a delicate piece of electronics and you got no way to carry it, no way to protect it. If you just throw it in your toolbox or in your trunk or something like that, it's probably going to get damaged. So here's another indicator. You have a very large user's manual and you have the Autel software as well. So this is going to allow you to update the software on here and also communicate with the scan tool. This is Windows only, but that's true with most scan tools. So there's the manual. Move that aside. So this is what the inside looks like. You have your standard OBD2 communication cable. You have a mini USB, not micro, mini USB cable. And of course, you have your MaxiCheck scan tool. Now, as you can see here, there is also a power port on the back. So you could, with a DC adapter, use this without plugging it into a vehicle, but that isn't included in the package. And that's pretty much it. So now I want to actually show you this thing working with a vehicle and actually communicating. So we're going to get to that right now. All right, guys, I'm in the garage here, and we're going to go ahead and test this. Once I get a newer car in here, we'll try this thing out. All right, guys, so we're going to be doing this video on the Marauder. Now, I just picked this thing up just 2 days ago, so don't give me too much hell for the paint. I haven't had a chance to do the correction yet. You know me, I got to get that paint perfect, but I just haven't had time. But I wanted to get this video out for you guys, so we're going to go ahead and use this thing as the guinea pig to show you this awesome scan tool. Now, with that being said, let's get you in the car so you can see my perspective. so I've got the scan tool hooked up. My apologies, I'm going to have to do this handheld. I did everything I could to try to get it mounted up so that you guys could see what I'm doing and the camera wouldn't be moving around, but unfortunately I just can't show you what's going on the screen. It keeps getting washed out. But anyway, here's the main menu. So if we go ahead and select OBD2, that's going to give us all our OBD2 scanning options. Now, obviously, you can look for trouble codes, you can look for pending codes, stored codes, you can check your freeze frame data if you've got any codes, and you can also do your live data and your onboard modules for manufacturer-specific codes if your car supports it. So here you see that we've got 2 monitors that are not options on this car, and we've got one that's incomplete, which is, I can tell you already, is the evap, which is fine, not a big deal. So we go ahead and we go to read codes. That'll give us our options for stored and pending. There are no codes in this car, I can tell you, but just going through that, you can see that. Pending codes as well, nothing. If we go back, you can erase. Obviously, I don't want to do that because I don't want to reset all my monitors again, nothing wrong. But again, you hit OK, you can erase all your codes. Go to live data. Now this is where you can be able to do a lot of diagnostic work if you're having an issue that isn't setting a code. So if you're having a rough idle, if you're having excess fuel consumption, if you're having any of these issues, right? This is something that you could probably diagnose using live data. We'll just go to the complete list now, but know that if you select custom, you can select a custom data set with only the values that you care about. Now if we go here, we can look through the various different values. So you got your load percentage, you've got your coolant temp, you've got your short-term and long-term fuel trim. Now, the long-term fuel trim is one of my favorite diagnostic tools. Now, you can see here, long-term for bank 2 is 3.9, and long-term for bank 1 is 2.3. Now, these values are slightly high, but they're not to the point where I would suspect a large vacuum leak or anything in that nature. But nonetheless, if these are off, either heavily positive or heavily negative, you know you've got something wrong with either your fuel or your air intake system, mainly because you've got either excess air or excess fuel entering the system. Now, this being said, the other great feature here is, of course, your graphing abilities. So if we go ahead and select one graphic, it'll show us our long-term fuel trim for bank 2. And you can see here what it looks like on a graph, the oscillation of back and forth. Now, this is especially useful when you look at oxygen sensors. So if we go scroll down and find our oxygen sensors, and with a car that has both a sensor 1 and sensor 2, the important sensor is going to be sensor 1. The second sensor is going to be just monitoring the catalyst performance. The sensor in the front, however, is going to be the one that's controlling your fuel mixtures. So we have bank 1, sensor 1 right here. If we select that and we hit one graphic, you'll be able to see it'll instantly start graphing our oxygen sensor performance. And this is what's really important. Oxygen sensor performance voltage graphs should look basically like this, an up and down oscillation. If you're noticing that it's sticking at a certain voltage or it's moving wildly and erratically, chances are that oxygen sensor is probably bad. So this is very useful. And if we select to graphic, you'll see that it overlays the O2 bank 1 sensor 1 for the voltage, and as well as our previously loaded value over there. And of course, you can select a different value if you want as well. Now, this is very useful because it allows you to overlay data. So if you want to say look at both oxygen sensors, you can overlay sensor 1 on top for bank 1 and bank 2 sensor 1. And you can look at both voltages together. And you'll know pretty instantaneously by looking at the graphs whether or not you've got an issue with one of the sensors. Because if one of the sensors is behaving perfectly normally, giving you that standard oscillation, and then the other one starts going crazy or being pegged at a certain voltage and sort of sticking, you'll know that one's bad. All right, and we can look at freeze frame data, of course. And I don't know if you can see this, it's showing up on camera really well, but another nice thing is any of the menus that you previously opened will now be purple, kind of like that old school, when you click on a hyperlink, it stays purple instead of blue sort of thing. Well, this is really nice because it lets you see what you've already gone through. So if you're going through diagnostic work, you're trying to make sure you don't cross paths again on something you've already looked at, this is nice. Your readiness check is going to give you your emissions readiness
So basically, if all your modules are set, or if you're in a state like Pennsylvania, like I am, where you can have one monitor out, having your evap out isn't going to be the end of the world. And then, of course, my car doesn't support it, but you can do an O2 monitor test. But here's where you look at your manufacturer-specific codes. You hit onboard monitor, and because, it's a Mercury, I'm going to select Ford. Now you can see the manufacturer-specific O2 checks, and all your different codes are going to be right in here. Now, one that Fords always seem to set, at least all the Panther cars that I've ever been in, between a Crown Vic, a Town Car, and this car, they always seem to set the test 56, which is just for the random misfire count, and it always sets, but it never seems to mean anything, and certainly doesn't correlate with anything else. So, in my opinion, it's just one of those that's like a little too sensitive from the factory. But all the other ones are for cylinder-specific misfires and that sort of thing. So if those set, that's something you might want to look into. The component test, I can't do this on my car either. It doesn't support it, but here you can do an evap leak test. So if your car supports it, that's going to be a great way to figure out if your evap monitor not setting is a leak, or if it's just an issue of needing more time for the monitor to set. And of course, your vehicle info menu here, I'm not going to do that because it requires the engine to be off, and I want to finish this to be able to show you all the other features. If you hit modules present in this car, super simple, there's only one module, but if your car has more modules, it'll show you those. And of course, you have your trouble code lookup menu, so you can punch in the different codes here, and you can look up different codes. These are generic codes, not going to be your manufacturer-specific codes, but of course, you can punch in different values right here and look them up. So that's very nice as well. You have a built-in trouble code lookup menu. So we'll exit. Now I want to show you some of the different other options. Now if you see here, you've got ABS SRS, you've got your DPF or diesel particulate filtration. Now that's not going to apply to this car, obviously speaking, but you got your electronic parking brake. Again, that's not going to apply here. We've got a manual parking brake. You got your power steering system. You've got your battery monitor. Now, I don't know if this will apply to this car. It's a Ford thing for American cars, but it's not really. We'll see what it does here if I hit rebalance. Yeah, no, this car doesn't have that as a supported option. It's pretty old. If we go back, you have your options for oil reset. Now, this is pretty nice. Now, this car here only has the compass, so it doesn't have anything fancy. The Town Car would have a oil life indicator up here. Now, I don't know if this car has a oil life indicator on the dash. I don't think so, but if you go here, you can look into the different menus, and it'll actually give you the process for doing the reset. Now, most cars, you can just reset them in the car, but in the event that your car needs the reset done with a scan tool, this thing can do it as well. But you can see here that Marauder isn't even listed because, well, I don't think it replies. But if we check the Grand Marquis, it might be similar. And yeah, you can see it's only going to apply to the newer Grand Marquis from 2006 onward that had a display in the dash and that sort of thing. So it's definitely not going to apply to this car, but it will apply to a Town Car from 2003 or 4. All right, now that we've seen that, we'll exit. And one of the key features, well, why don't I show you the setup first? You can see here in the setup here, it gives you the basic options for changing things. So obviously, you can change your units. You can turn on or off the beep. Now, I can see how in a noisy environment, this might be useful to see if you've actually pushed the button or not, but for me, it's absolutely irritating. I'll show you what it sounds like. Yeah, so that's going to drive me insane. So I turn that off. But if you're working in a noisy shop, it could be useful to actually know if you've actually clicked the button or not. You have your LCD test, so this is just going to let you test all the different colors, check for dead pixels, and check that each pixel is able to display all the colors. And of course, you can change your language and your units and all that. That's pretty much it. And your key test is useful as well. So you'll see here, I can push on different keys, and it'll tell me which ones I'm pressing. And so this is useful because if you're having an issue where you can't access menus or whatever, and you don't know if your scan tool is freezing up or is there a problem, this will let you test all the different keys in the system to make sure that they all function. And they pretty much do. So that's that. The last thing that I want to show you that really does apply, and at a later date I will be definitely making a video about this, is within the ABS SRS menu, you have the option for a power brake bleed. So we go ahead into the Ford menu. Now, when you have a car with an ABS system, it becomes more difficult to bleed if air gets introduced into the system. And without the ability to actuate the ABS pump, chances are you're going to have air locked up inside all those inside that ABS module, and you're going to get mushy brakes and poor braking performance. So we go ahead here into vehicle selection. This process, unfortunately, is a bit slow because you have to enter the VIN, but we'll see if we can circumvent that. So we go ahead and we scroll down. We should be able to find Marauder. Keep going here. There we go. Just passed it. There's Marauder. Select the engine, 4-valve, 2003. This car does not have traction control, so we'll say not equipped. Yes. And here's where you can enter your VIN. I'm going to just say yes, yes, and yes. Okay, we were able to circumvent that, but you can't enter the VIN. We go ahead and go to control unit, and we go into the anti-lock, so the ABS brake module. It'll scan in there. So you can now read ABS codes, you can erase codes, you can see live data, and you can perform an active test. So we go ahead and read codes, check if there's anything, and I just heard that module do something, so we're going to check those codes. And you can see on the dash, the ABS light is flashing. System pass, no fault codes detected. Press any key to continue. Alright, so no need to do any erase codes on that, so I'm not going to touch that. But if you had a code and then you repaired the problem, like let's say you had a bad wheel speed sensor, and then you replace that, you could erase that code. We'll check live data. So you can check, we'll just say select all, and hit OK. And now this is going to give us all the live data for the different ABS sensors. And of course it's going to give us the valves. So of course, because we're parked and not moving, none of these valves should be doing anything. So that's good. But this is very nice. Again, this is another way you can try and diagnose issues with the ABS system. Because if you're noticing one of those outlet valves is open or on when nothing's happening, you probably have a sticking valve or something like that. We'll go back. And then if we do an active test, this should test any of the different functions. So we go ahead here, you can see all the different things we can perform an active test on. Now, obviously, it's going to be difficult for me to show you that it's actually doing anything, but we'll go ahead and select something. We'll just go for the front left inlet valve, and we'll select that, and OK. So the light is blinking. So now I can switch it on or off. Okay, well, it doesn't seem like my car supports that, but again, if your car does, you can check all these different functions. Regardless, even just having that live data to be able to check all these functions is invaluable for ABS diagnostics. Alright, and then we'll go ahead and look at our RCM, or restraint control module. That's probably going to include our airbag systems and all that. Alright, so here we are. We can read our different codes. So we'll see if there's any codes. No codes. We don't need to erase any codes. We can check our live data here. We'll just select all. Alright, so it shows you all the different sensors so that these would sense, I guess, impact damage and that sort of thing. And also your airbag sensors, and they're all functioning just fine, as you can see here. So Again, this is very, very good info to have if you're trying to find an issue with your airbag system. Now here's the active test menu, and it will check special functions. And of course, if you're having an issue, you can reset the system. Again, we're not going to be doing that. So that's that. I think I've showed you pretty much everything that I can do with this vehicle. But again, you can see this is a very comprehensive tool. And especially if you have a super modern car with the electronic parking brake, with your speed modulated power steering and all that, there's a lot that you can do with this that you wouldn't be able to do with just a standard, code reader or anything like that. So for $200 or a little over $200, I have to say that this right here is an excellent value. So if you guys are looking for a good scanner and you're just trying to find something that's pretty comprehensive, that isn't going to break the bank, honestly, I don't think you can go wrong with the MaxiCheck Pro. I really do think that this is a great value. So anyway, guys, if you liked the video, be sure to give me a like. If you want to see more about the MaxiCheck Pro, maybe more of the functions I can do on slightly newer vehicles and that sort of thing, be sure to get subscribed. And if you have any questions, comments, or your own experiences with the MaxiCheck Pro or other scanners, definitely leave that below. And if I missed anything, definitely let me know. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one.